Women Invest in Women, Season 1, is brought to you by the Kitty Rose Lifestyle, The Next Chapter, Black Women Matter, Pin AI, and NetHub.
This episode is brought to you by Women Invest in Women, TEC, Overlay Capital Bill, Pin AI, Black Women Matter, NetHub, John DeVoy Bar and Restaurant, and the Kitty Rose Lifestyle. Partner with us and underwrite an episode.
Welcome to Women Invest in Women. We are here in New York City, the home of my birth. I am so excited to be here, to be recording one of our episodes on our global tour. Just a reminder that this tour goes to 8 cities, 5 states, 4 countries, and this is just the beginning, baby. We are creating a global economic ecosystem centered around the African diaspora, sisterhood, and humanity. And as part of that, we are having conversations with women all across the world who are in different stages of experiences. And today, I am so excited to have my friend Julieta on. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing amazing. Get to talk to you.
So great to speak with you. So Julieta and I just met, actually, a couple of months ago in Miami, where we both live. And I was like, this woman is amazing, and you must be on my show. And you immediately said,
Yes, obviously.
Of course, obviously. So I like to ask everyone, before we even get into the introductions of who you are, what you do, what is one thing that most people would not know about you that you would love to share with us?
I'd say one of the top things that describes my personality best is I've lived in over 30 cities in my lifetime. Yeah, so from Argentina originally, from Buenos Aires. My whole family lives there, but throughout my childhood, and now adulthood especially, traveled all over and kind of always passionate about going to a new place, especially new countries, new languages and cultures.
I love that. That's amazing. So in those travels, what's a couple of things you may have learned about life and just people in general?
I'd say the top thing, throughout the pandemic, I was completely nomadic. So I lived in Airbnbs, had no address.
Oh my God.
I know. My poor husband will probably want to kill me. What I learned was cities have heartbeats, and that was something that was very interesting to me. There's something that's called third culture kids, where you're from one place, your parents might be from another, you grew up in another place with a different language, and so you never really belong in any city or country. And what I learned through those travels is I actually could assimilate in so many different places because I had all those different backgrounds. And every city had a heartbeat that you either resonate to or don't. And so it's really interesting to explore that within you and see what resonates and why. Sometimes people have, generations past that are from a specific place, and when you go there, you feel a different way. So I always encourage people to kind of explore that.
Yeah, I love that. So we're here in New York City. What's the heartbeat here for you? What is that connection you have?
There is caffeine in my veins from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. I mean, here I could sleep 5 hours a night, and I'm doing 12 meetings a day. I don't know what it is. So the energy here is just fast-paced.
Yeah, it's very frenetic here, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. When I'm coming over the plane, I'm ready, I got to get my New York flavor on. So I totally feel that. So now we can actually talk a little bit more about you. So tell us a little bit about what you do, what's Overlay Capital, your passion, your why behind this work.
Well, I'd say my North Star since I'm a kid, ever since I could remember, is the built environment. So when I say built environment, what I mean is anything around us, this building, the train tracks, any coastal construction, anything that's built world is what I've always been passionate about. And I think it's because of my upbringing, moving every couple of years to different cities and countries. I was obsessed with how the way they're designed affects how you live. So when you asked, what does New York City do with the energy? because of the way that it's designed, the concrete jungle, you always feel like there's a million people around you. And so that actually affects your day-to-day, and it impacts also the planet. And I always want to be kind of a shaper and mover in that space. So I grew up wanting to be the next master builder. If you've ever been to Barcelona, Gaudi.
I have not yet, but I need to get there.
You need to go.
I know,
okay, well, when you go to Portugal.
When I go to Spain in October as part of the tour, I will definitely stop off in Barcelona.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So Gaudi was one of the top master builders. He studied architecture and engineering, and so I kind of wanted to replicate exactly what he did. So I studied both of those career paths in Boston for university, and then I went to Berkeley for grad school, so ended up on the West Coast. And I started off my career in Walt Disney Imagineering. So if you have been to a Disney park before,
of course,
that's what I got to design.
That's amazing.
Roller coasters, yeah. I mean, theme park design.
By the way, I need to make sure I introduce you to my niece and nephew because they're going to be like, "Oh my God!"
I would love to take them. I always love taking kids to the parks. So.
Oh my God, it's a date.
Okay, we'll go.
Know, but it's a date.
From Miami, we'll go to Orlando on that
yes,
Brightline
absolutely.
train. We'll do
Perfect.
that.
We'll do the Brightline.
Amazing. So being an Imagineer, it was so fun, such a fun career path. I got to do my architecture, my engineering, combine it, work with all these artisans. We were designing Avatar and Star Wars. And then after a few years, my parents, they're both working in cancer research. They're scientists. So I was like, am I going to work for Mickey Mouse forever? What am I really doing for the built world? So I ended up going to an engineering firm called Arup in Silicon Valley, and they were designing all of the big tech campuses, Apple, Facebook, Google. And that's when I realized, oh, the real world and industry doesn't function like a Disney. It's not as creative and not as innovative. So long story short, I ended up jumping from being an engineer to going into the world of technology and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So that's when I really got ingrained in the world of startups. And what I do now is I invest. I'm a VC, a venture capitalist, investing in early stage technologies, so 1 to 2 year old companies within the built world, construction technology, real estate technology. And I'm very ingrained on the adoption side of things. So I'm helping builders and owners and developers on how do I actually find the right tech and then implement it. So it's been really fun because I get to still use my background, but really immerse myself in working with these founders.
I would love to hear more about that venture capital journey because there's a lot of women we know who have disposable income who are thinking about potentially becoming angel investors. We're hearing a lot about the venture capitalist space, more so now more than ever before. And like, how do you actually make that leap and that transition? And realizing there's always a knowledge gap. I know when I got into angel investing, I was like, I don't know what in the world I'm doing. I just know that I've been blessed to have money and I want to bless other people. And that was literally just the only thing that I could think about, but I didn't know any of the other terminology, et cetera. So how did that sort of work for you?
I love that you're asking that because I think a lot of women actually just don't even know what it means to invest in the private asset space, right? They think that investing means I'm investing in the public markets only and don't know the access that they have. So there's an amazing company called Ellevest. I think we might have spoken about it last time, where it's teaching women how to invest as an angel investor or into funds, which you could also do if you want to be less risky in terms of angel investing. Yeah. So there's a lot more knowledge out there, but still the stats that they've shown is that 80% of women who have the means to invest don't. And 80% of men who do not have the means to invest do.
Fascinating.
Yeah, but are we shocked? Not really.
Are we? I know, of course not.
So it's really interesting to even be thinking about that. The way that I entered the space was I never in a million years thought that I'd be in finance. It was really out of a need where our industry in construction, we really are under-digitized. We're the least innovative industry. We're the last to bring in technology. And so when I kind of jumped from being an engineer to working at a startup, we realized there's no investors in construction technology in the US before 2018.
Wow.
So myself and another woman, we launched a fund out of just necessity. We needed to have more investors looking at our space. And since 2018, there's been about a dozen funds that have launched, but we're still in the super early innings. And so with women, with women, I'm always saying, like, come into our space, come invest. I mean, we're in such early innings that the opportunity is huge.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it right now with some of the returns that we're getting.
It's so interesting that you say that and that you're in this construction tech. So when we did New Orleans, I had my cousin on as one of the panelists, and she's in construction and is a multimillionaire, one of the few Black women who was really making amazing things happen. And she got into it really a little bit before Hurricane Katrina, but then after Katrina happened and she lost a few things, she was like, I'm going to get my trade license. I'm going to find out everything that I need to do. And like, she's just been killing it. And then I just got on a phone call with another woman who was also in construction in Canada. And what they all were saying was that it's not a lot of women, period, in the space. And then there's so much opportunity for women to get into the space. Well, how do you see that? Like, how did you go into this space as one of the few women, probably, and then now you're talking about doing this additional piece of having venture capitalism, which is even more rare, into the space. So
I think we spoke about that last time we met, that I was brought up in an industry where there was no women. I mean, a Latina on a job site did not exist. And so it was really difficult. It was actually one of the reasons I wanted to leave the industry. And then when I jumped from construction, engineering to venture capital, I saw that it was worse. And that's when I said, this can't be. It can't be that I am seeing less women in our space, and especially at the leadership level. So myself and another woman in San Francisco, we realized within the city, we were the only 2 women working on construction technology investing in Silicon Valley.
Wow.
And when we saw that problem, we said, let's actually launch a community, a nonprofit, where we could actually have founders, investors, and then technology adopters have a safe space to communicate. Because the reality is, and I'm sure you've seen with angel investing, it's a very non-transparent industry. You never know what salaries are, what equity is, how to make investments.
Yeah.
Everything is kind of hush-hush. And the way that you do deals is, oh, my friend at the fraternity sent me this deal, and that's why I'm investing. And so instead of trying to redo Wall Street, let's start our own club. That was kind of the thought behind it.
Yeah.
And so it's called Women in Construction Tech. And I mean, the response was immediately we have local chapter leaders all over the world. People were coming out of the woodwork saying, I've been waiting for a place like this where I could just be myself.
I love that. I love the fact that you brought in community. So we're going to talk more about community after this break.
What if your brand could travel the world, be seen by millions, and align with a movement that changes lives? Introducing the Women Investing in Women Global Tour. Directed by visionary media leader Kitty Rose and moderated by the empowering Kwamara Thompson. Our series reaches 4.7 million homes through broadcast television and is streamed on all major podcast platforms. That means your product, your service, your message, right in front of an audience of buyers and culture shapers. We're launching during Essence Fest weekend and heading to 10 cities around the world. From the US to Jamaica, Toronto, Spain, Argentina, and yes, even Africa starting 2026. Your brand goes global with us. This is more than media. It's a movement. This is women investing in women. Want in? Limited spots. Global reach with real impact. Contact us today to advertise with purpose.
And welcome back. So as we were saying, I want to talk a little bit more about the importance of community in entrepreneurship. And also, I probably didn't even think about this, the importance of community when you're investing as well. So talk to me about how the community has been helpful in this journey for you.
Yeah, I would say starting Women in Construction Tech, we started it 2 months into me being a VC.
Wow.
And the reality is I knew nothing about finance coming into it. And it's a very scary industry to jump into without that background. And so the idea of having community to me was having mentorship immediately, is having people I could ask any kind of question to. But again, because the industry is so cutthroat, non-transparent, that's what you need the most, especially as a woman. I have a list for female founders of VCs, of investors that they should talk to and not talk to. I have for VCs a list of LPs, which are the investors into our funds. Yeah. Same thing. And those are the kinds of conversations you only get by true relationship building, not just connections. So the whole idea of this community is, I don't want you to go to a conference and grab 100 different business cards. I want you to make 2 meaningful friends that will become your mentor or that you're mentoring. And I think that's critical in an industry like this one, where a lot of it is just based on judgment of people, really backing a person. It's not just their idea, you're backing an actual person, especially early stage investing, which I'm sure you've seen with angel investing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is all about the person. I think everything is really relational. Even if the company fails, quote unquote, you're still more than willing to still continue to work with that person, especially if you've seen the way they work. You know that they're trustworthy. You know that they have XYZ things to make it happen. But the reality is not every business is going to be successful. In fact, most businesses aren't. And that's just the reality of investing and understanding that when you're getting into this space, but being able to build something that's sustainable, I think is important. I love what you said about creating real relationships and you coming away with friendships, right? And that you are also transparent in your knowledge sharing. I tell people all the time, there's 3 currencies that I live in, which is love, empathy, and knowledge sharing. And breaking down that gatekeeping is so important when we're talking about community. Can you talk about some of the other sort of factors that you like to put in when you're thinking about, okay, someone wants to do a chapter of women in construction tech. What kind of person are you looking for to actually, build that chapter who has the embodies what it is that women in construction tech is?
I think of one word, which is light. And you see it immediately in someone's energy with the second you meet them, right? If they're a light, they're someone that wants to empower others around them. They're not doing to be resume building, to get more connections out of it. They're doing it to really help others around them. And so we've had this actually before where we have a new local chapter leader that wants to start a place in Spain or in Argentina. And it's all about the connection that we make with that person. Are they going to be the right person to then bring collectively people together? And our whole concept is, let's do it with, in-person events. So for in-person events, it's all about, can this person really capture others' attention and empower them?
Yeah, I love that. So you do many things. How do you wear these hats? It sounds effortlessly, but how do you do that in a way where everything seems to be successful? It's seamless. It's like a little ecosystem that you've kind of created around yourself. How have you been able to do that?
I think the quick response is just pure passion. It's, again, ever since I could remember, it's really the thing that I wanted to work on the most in terms of North Star, is the built world. In terms of it being effortless, I wouldn't say it's all effortless. It might seem that way from the outside.
Seems that way from the outside, yes.
But I've had this conversation many times with folks of like, how did you end up being a VC from an engineer? Why do you have a fund and a consultancy firm? Like, how do you do all these things? And then the community aspect too. The reality is, I always focus on what's the biggest problem statement in front of me from me reaching the North Star. And my North Star is, can we digitize the built world? Can we make it one where the same way that we were super creative and innovative at Disney, it'll be that way for all of our buildings, all of our homes. That's what I want to reach. And so throughout my career, kind of, if I look at the weaving path, it's always been about a problem statement first and then finding the solution. So when I was working in construction, there was no technology. Jumped into a startup to learn about what is this tech world. When I was in the tech world, there's no investors in the space. What do we do there? Jump into starting a fund. There's no women in our space. Let's create the community. It's always about seeking what's the problem in front of me and what can I do to bring other people in to solve it. I'll never be able to do it on my own.
Yeah.
It's about bringing other geniuses around.
Yeah, I love that. And when I'm listening to this story, one of the things that I'm hearing all the time is research and learning. And so I think sometimes we get to a place in our careers where it might be like, I'm the expert and I don't need to learn anything anymore. But I think that most of us should be thinking about being lifelong learners and having that ability to expand our minds. Can you talk a little bit more about, because it seems like a really important factor in the work that you do?
I think I get bored really fast. I love learning. I was brought up by 2 scientists. I was brought up with this research mentality.
Yeah.
And actually, my parents, they both work on very long-term research projects. When you're doing cancer research, you're working on one thing for 10, 15 years. And I like something that's tangible, something that you could create, which is why I love entrepreneurship. You're always able to kind of think of new ideas and pursue them, create MVPs, and see their impact quite quickly. So for me, it's always been, again, about that problem statement. How do I find the solution to make impact? And then I want to go to the next thing, which is why I love investing, right? In investing, we're constantly learning about different startups, different themes, different industries. Yeah. versus focusing on kind of one narrow thing.
That's great. And one of the things that we talked about when we first met, which still resonates, and I think I mentioned this before, which is the idea that you really think about implementation. Can you just talk a little bit more about that? Because I just think this is so exciting. A lot of people think about, what's the idea, right? And do I like the idea? And let me look at the earned revenue. But the implementation piece is something that I think is often missed, and you have done a great job of making sure that your businesses that you invest in are actually implementing on the ground.
Yeah, so the way that I even invest is first through the adoption or implementation lens. So when I say consultancy, I will help developers, owners, and builders look at their problem statements first. So if you're building a house, let's say, what's the most expensive thing that's happened in the last 2-3 homes you've built? The labor shortage, material volatility. We've all kind of experienced how awful construction is for home building at some point, or renovation.
Oh my God, don't even get me started.
Exactly, most people could feel the pain points. And then once we identify the pain points, what are the solutions that exist? 10 years ago, there was no solutions. Today, there's been a 90x growth of technologies in our space.
Wow, that's amazing.
So how do I identify those solutions? And then what I really look at is implementation. So before I even consider investing, can we actually over 3-6 months get to know these teams by seeing how they work boots on the ground? And let's actually compare all their competitors together. Let's give them the same homework assignment and see what's the adoption diligence. So when we invest, typically we're looking at technical diligence, what's the software or hardware material like in a technical perspective, and will it do what it's saying it's going to do? Every founder is going to tell you their idea is the best thing since sliced bread. Is it real? Business diligence, do they have the right market? Do they have enough customers? Are they scaling fast enough? But what I think a lot of investors miss is the adoption, implementation diligence. Are the people in that job site going to actually use your thing? If it's too tech savvy, probably not. So is it sticky? Are people liking the onboarding? Do they like the user interface? Are they going to recommend it to their friends? And kind of observing that human aspect.
Yeah.
And that's why I think women are so phenomenal at that, because we understand the change management human aspect, having to work with a lot of different personalities. And I'll invest in those companies, the ones that are actually getting implemented.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why it resonated so much is because some of the work that I did is in education technology. And baby, if it's not easy, the teachers are not going to implement it. They don't care how exciting what the newest thing is. Facts, okay? I just heard somebody say facts over there. And so that user experience is so key and it's so critical. And I talk to my tech friends. I'm like, I know you just did something that's amazing and creative, but if it's not user-friendly, if you can't explain it to just the regular layperson, if you can't show somebody how easy it is to do, then it was just kind of like a creative thing that you did to stretch your mind for a little bit.
Great idea.
Great
Where's
idea.
it going?
Awesome.
And also you mentioned, teachers are the best example of this. You're working so hard already. Are you going to use extra time to learn a new technology?
That's right.
Probably not, unless it's going to make your life easier, and easier in terms of learning it. On construction sites, these folks, they're the last ones to innovate historically. So are they going to use extra time when they're already working 50, 60 hours?
Such a good point.
To learn a new technology, unless it's something they really believe in and they're going to implement it and it's easy to implement. So for founders, I always tell them, build something people want and learn your audience more than anything. Go deep into customer discovery and get feedback from them. It's not your own idea. It has to be really a collective idea.
I love that idea. It has to be a collective idea when you're thinking about launching a business, more when we come back from our break.
That was a good ending.
Community partnerships is a gathering of like-minded people who are interested in maintaining the legacy of their ancestors through arts and culture, and having conversations on a monthly basis with what I call art practitioners is just something that I'm wedded to. And again, Harlem Arts Alliance is the vehicle that we use to do that work.
Community partnerships are essential, I believe, for building long-term relationships and understanding of the community and the art. I think that that is the core of how we can really sustain the presence of Black and brown artists by being engaged consistently and joyfully.
Community partnership is all about creating legacy. Community partnerships mean to me stronger communities.
Community partnerships mean strength.
The partnership is connection. Fostering a connection to be able to reach out to run an idea by a friend who can then connect you to others.
Community partnerships mean a lot. It means collaboration. It means connecting with one another to create something bigger than themselves.
One word that describes how I feel when I leave these meetings?
Empowered.
Inspiration.
Inspired.
Renewed.
Inspired. Inspired.
Back from break, Women Invest in Women. Here I am speaking with Julieta. So Julieta, I want to talk to you about your entrepreneurial journey, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly. Tell us.
I'd say the good, the beautiful is I've always been very passionate. There hasn't been a day where I wake up and I'm not super excited by what I'm building. The bad, the ugly, the other piece of it is that it's really hard. Being an entrepreneur is in one single day, in one single hour, you could have the highest high and the lowest low.
So true.
And how do you remove that noise from the actual work? And a lot of people rely on you, or the business relies on you and it's on your shoulders. So emotionally, how do you deal with being neutral without wanting to be neutral? Because I want to be authentic. I'm not a neutral person.
Yeah.
So I'd say the hardest piece for entrepreneurs is acknowledging that feeling that you're going to have highs and lows all the time, knowing how to manage that. And also having really good support around you is the most critical piece. Having the right leaders around you, the right mentors around you that you could point at and say, I have my value set and I'm going to stick to that. I think any time that we sway away from our values or our own integrity, that's when body keeps a score.
Yeah.
And so just having to your core, what's the most important thing to you? Who are the family members, your closest friends, your mentors that are always going to put you in check with who your core is such a critical piece in that path, no matter how big you get.
Yes, yes, I love that. You got your little friends who check you, and trust me, if they're good friends, they will check you. It's like, girl, what you talking about right now? You know that's not you.
Exactly. And that you're aligned to what your passion
And
is.
what your passion is,
Exactly.
right.
Is
You know?
it something that you wanted to actually achieve, and are you aligned to still getting there?
You know, when you say that, I wonder, and there's a saying in our community, and that I like to say too, not all money is good money. Sometimes it's the devil money. So how do you make kind of these decisions around, man, I'm growing, I know I need XYZ for my budget, as we're building, as we're scaling, I need to hire people, and I've got this opportunity, but is it actually the right opportunity for me, my business? Are we values aligned? Do I believe in what this company believes in? And if I don't, how do I sort of work out a partnership, or do I just walk away? I'm just wondering if those moments have happened. Do you mind telling us a little bit about them?
Those moments have definitely happened. They will to any entrepreneur in terms of receiving funds. So receiving funds is a partnership.
Yep.
If you're receiving a check from an angel investor, from a venture capital fund, or in my case, from a limited partner investor into a fund, you're creating a partnership. You're not just receiving their philanthropy, a donation. And so you are forming a relationship. So it's really about, do I want to form this relationship with this person for 5, 10 years?
Yeah.
It's a marriage. At least in the world of funds, it's a long-term marriage.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's so critical when we talk about values, not to just use that lightly, but to actually know, what are your top 5 values in order?
Yeah.
And that exercise is actually very difficult. There's a professor at NYU that does a whole class around this for a semester, and it takes you an entire semester to learn what your values are. Most people think that they know them right away. It was a hard exercise to go through and take 100 values, narrow them down to 5, and put them in true order of priority.
Wow.
And anytime you don't know if it's a bad, you probably have a judgment call, like, should I take this or not? Going back to that and saying, like, does this align to my core values? Now, that's from a position of privilege, because sometimes as a founder, you need those funds immediately.
Yeah.
But sometimes when things are too good to be true, it's probably because they are.
Yeah.
And so that's why I kind of go back to check with your mentors, have this conversation with others, because something can seem really shiny, like you said, it could have a malintent behind it.
It can. And what you're saying here to me is a transparency in the ways that you communicate, a transparency in what's going on in your business. I think sometimes people are guarded about saying, hey, I'm struggling, or things aren't going as well as I want them to, and are not welcome to be as vulnerable. But if you do those vulnerable things, if you are transparent, then you can have these real conversations with your mentors and the people that you have in your community. So if there are folks in the audience who are thinking about getting into construction tech or are looking for VC funding, what is a piece of advice that you have for them?
I'd say that now it's more about timing. It is the most exciting time because we have this massive supply of technology. Like I said, 90x growth in the last 5 years. And that does not include AI. It's just been booming. So if you are, an adopter, meaning you could use some of these technologies because you have your own home building business or you're in real estate, there's so many technologies out there. So just be curious in that space. And if you're interested in investing, it's also an amazing time to invest because it is so new. And so I have a lot of friends and family who they have been investing, let's say, in public markets before, and they're kind of interested in dabbling into the private space, whether it's venture capital or private equity. So again, have that curiosity behind, let's look at platforms like an Elvest or what you're building as well and see how can I invest in these startups. And I think the best way to kind of enter that space is alongside someone who also does it to learn from them and kind of get osmosis and learn by shadowing.
Yeah, I love that. And then what is one word or a 3-word sentence that you love to leave the audience with?
Always stay curious.
Always stay curious. Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much, Julieta from Overlay Capital. Thank you. Women invest in women.
Today is the beautiful, glamorous, you already know her. So what do judges look like? And then you're coming to New York?
Yes.
I'm coming to the U.S. Okay. The Bronx native is in the building.
We are out here. Thank you so much.
Getting on the bus alone scared me because I have underlying health issues.
Have you guys been open the whole 7 months? Did you have to close?
We went through a lot, but we had to follow the procedure.
Some R&B, some more Latin flavor. And I couldn't have done it without my start here at Bronx Net.
We're so proud of you. Thank you for what you do, Miss Kitty Rose.
Great. Thank you for what you've done tonight and your professionalism and the way you engage the audience. I can't wait to see the footage.
What a great conversation we had with Julieta from Overlay Capital. And now it is my honor and my privilege to introduce my next guest, Miss Charlotte Bishop. Let's give it up for Miss Charlotte Bishop. Miss Charlotte got a fan club, okay? How are you today?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I am wonderful. Well, it is such an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
And I was telling our producer, I was so excited when you said that, yes, you're going to be a guest on Women Invest in Women. I'm so excited to hear more about your experience. But like I ask everybody on the show, what is one thing that most people would not know about you that you'd like to share?
I think that it would be maintaining our family's legacy. Okay? In my home, I have, as a matter of fact, the young man who who came up with me is my grandson.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Eric is the fifth. He and his siblings and cousins are the fifth generation of college grads in our family.
Oh, yes.
So
Let's give that up.
And it started with my grandfather. And my grandfather graduated from Virginia Union University, which was formerly STORE, in 1916. And we started maintaining, laminating, and displaying the college degrees. And as a matter of fact, Eric received his master's last year.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Let's give it up for Eric. Got his master's.
But as a result, and it's not something that we flaunt, right? It's just something that's so ingrained in our family. So we have 5 generations of college graduates.
And that is a legacy.
That's a legacy.
That's
yes,
right.
in
That's
our family.
A legacy.
And so that's something that most people don't even, for the longest time, didn't even know what I did. I was just Eric and Evan's mom. And so I think that's it, and we have it, it's displayed in my home, but not in the living room and not, in a way that as I said, we'd be flaunting. But all of the children, all of the grands know, and all of my grands are college grads.
Right. Yes,
So, it's something that we're just so proud of.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who said flaunted? Yes, I agree. You should absolutely flaunt the legacy that you're creating, building, and the amazing sort of family legacy that is out there behind the Bishop name, which is amazing. So when you talked about education being ingrained in the family, I think about values systems. Can you just talk a little bit about the kinds of values that are intrinsic in the legacy that you are building? We know one already is education, but do you have a couple others that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, loyalty, pride in the family, the connection that I see among and I can stand back and see it with my grands, because sometimes I was so busy raising my sons that I didn't always see these characteristics in them. So it's support. They give one another so much support and so much love. And that's, in addition to just the education itself, but it's something about, and the pride in the family, And from that, it's as if they get their strength to go on, to do so many other things as a result. And I've got to stop for a moment. And thank Catherine.
Yes, let's give it up. Yes, let's
Catherine is my daughter-in-law and Eric's mom. All right. And I just want to thank her for her support and for inviting me to take part in this.
Absolutely.
And thank you also.
Yes, no, absolutely. It's my pleasure. So you mentioned that a lot of people don't even know what you do. So we're going to make sure that we talk about what it is that you do. So talk to me about your entrepreneurial journey. You can talk how you got into the work. I think you started your business about 5 years ago or so. 12 years ago or so. So would love to hear more about that, what it is that you do, and why you felt that the population that you work with was so important.
Well, I got married when I was 18, and I went on to get my college to get my degree. But then I was widowed. My husband was killed in an automobile accident. As a matter of fact, when my youngest son was 4 months and my oldest son was 8 years.
Wow.
I may have the numbers mixed up, but that's about it. And so raising them was the most important thing at the time. And then shortly after my husband's death, I was hired by the City University to become a professor. So I became a professor in CUNY.
Mm.
And
Education so ingrained,
So yes.
okay?
But in addition to it being a value, it was also a way to survive, because all of a sudden I was a young widow with single mother, and I didn't want to fall into all the stereotypes that I had heard, you know, that single mothers experience. And so working was, you know, a priority. How are we going to survive? And so I went to CUNY and I stayed there for 41 years.
Wow, wow.
And I became a full tenured professor. 18 of those years I was a chairperson of the department. And it was the office administration department, which formerly, before our studies were so computerized, it was secretarial science. So teaching students how to manage large corporate offices. And so working was it was tied in with the survival of the family. And then I went on to get my master's. And, you know, so I'm losing track.
Yeah, no worries. And so you were helping people become organized, organizing big offices, and so therefore that helped you start thinking about how you could start your business?
Well, I wasn't, not at that point, because getting my sons through school was a priority, so educating them. So they went on to college, they got their degrees. And it really wasn't until I retired. So I retired from City University. And
after 41 years, let's put that in again, okay? 41 years, yes.
After 41 years, and did I say 18 of those years I chaired the department?
Yes, you did.
And so I learned, and I was teaching skills that I really carried on into retirement. And I was trying to decide exactly what I wanted to do once I retired. And so I mentioned to my sons that I considered, and then many of my friends would come, and I see some in the audience, and they would need my assistance, whether it was with, you know, learning certain things about computers or typing, you know, getting letters, correspondence ready for them. So I said, well, why don't, and then I tend to be a very organized person.
Somebody said, yep. Video on it, yep.
And so I just, it was just so ingrained in me, you know, and it just seemed to make sense to go in that direction. And so I mentioned it to my younger son, Evan, that I was considering starting a business. And he says, okay, let's do it. And so Evan was a teacher with the Department of Ed. And so Evan and I became partners. And we, you know, and we really saw, I was listening to the first guest and talking about people, and we were able to do everything ourselves. We didn't have to hire anyone, you know, to do anything that was needed for the business. We didn't have any investors. So we literally did everything ourselves.
Everything was earned revenue. And I want to talk about this entrepreneurial journey and also what it's like to create a family-run business. I also co-own a venue space with my mother in Hollywood, Florida. So we'll talk about all of those and everything else when we get back from break.
Okay.
Omo Sade Skincare takes pride in using natural, nurturing skincare products to make New Yorkers glow and love their skin. For the past 30 years, we have tailor-made skincare regimens for people and their unique skin type. Now everyone can enjoy this service for free. All skin types, all ages. Your skin, your match. Simply go to SadeSkincare.com and sign up now for your free consultation.
One scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
When the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
I'm relying on luck, but who knows if it'll be on my side.
When it comes to disasters and emergencies, it's not a matter of if, but when. Take control. 1. Assess your needs. 2. Make a plan. 3. Engage your support network. Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Okay, and we're back. So where we left off is we were talking about what it's like to have a business with your son, have a family-run business. So I would love to hear a little bit about that meeting of the minds, how things have been going. You said you've been in business now for 12 years, which is, can we just give that up? Because that's an amazing feat in and of its own. Many people start businesses and very rarely get past the 1 year mark or the 3 year mark or even the 5 year mark. And as Black women, that percentage keeps going down and down. So you are already in a class to your own, we have a successful business for the last 12 years. So that's amazing. Yes, absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about some of the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly about having your own business, being an entrepreneur. And then, you know, maybe some of the great things about working with family and maybe some of the not so great things about working with family.
Surprisingly enough, Evan was a challenge to raise. And everyone who knows Evan knows that he was a challenge. But the interesting thing is the way we work with one another, all right? I don't consider, once we go into meeting, we're discussing anything about the business, we're peers, okay? I'm not the mother and he's not the son, you know, we're equal in that sense. So even though raising Evan, and he's a successful young man now, but even though it was challenging, in business, we complimented one another. Yeah, we absolutely complimented each other. And I didn't even think Evan and I were going to live in the same area code or zip code. He was just a very creative, he is a very creative and independent young man. And, but in business, everything just flowed. So I always handled the administrative side, and he handled the creative because he's an artist.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't difficult, and that surprised me because I really thought that it was going to be harder for us to work together because I didn't expect it to go so well.
Okay, if you do mind if I just ask this question, if you were hesitant maybe. How did that conversation first happen? Did you approach him about, here, I've been doing this, I've been helping my friends, and I'm thinking maybe there's a need in the community, I can create a business? Or did Evan say, hey, Mom, I see you've been doing this stuff, maybe you should create something? Like, how did that conversation happen?
It was when I just decided after I had retired that I really wanted to do something more. And when I mentioned it, my older son, Eric, said, Eric's dad, okay, Mom, and he just kind of went his own way. But Evan said, okay, let's do it. Let's do this. And we just started. And it was as if not even discussing how we were going to divide the work up. It just happened, But what we found out, as I said, we didn't have any investors. We just did everything. So we were able to write the any literature that we had to have. So to answer your question, it was just something that, I said, I expressed the need, wanting to do it. And Evan said, okay, we'll just, and we just started.
I love that.
And it really just worked. And he's very creative. And, so that's how we got started with the business.
Right.
And what I'm finding now is that because he is such a great artist, he wanted to start his own business. And he wanted to branch off. And we pretty much decided that we would do it. We would do the business together for maybe 10 years.
Okay.
And then he would go, because he was teaching, as I said, in the public schools. And he really didn't want to continue doing that. And so when he decided it was time, I didn't realize just how much we were able to make this work, because we really didn't talk about the division of labor, who was going to do what. But now that I'm doing it by myself, it's scary. It is not easy at all,
So the business is going through a transition and a pivot
very
time.
much
Do
so.
you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think as entrepreneurs, and those of us who have been on entrepreneurial journeys, we are always pivoting, we're always transitioning. So we'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're thinking for the future and then how you're getting through this period.
Right. What's happening is that, in another month, I'll be 80 years old.
Okay, yes.
So
I hope the family is coming together to put a big birthday bash, okay? Milestone birthday.
And so I forgot what I was saying.
So in a month you'll be 80, but we're talking about your pivoting of the business.
And so what I'm thinking in terms of is I'm trying to find a way. I'm finding a way to offer the services because let me back up. My mother had a stroke and the doctors said that she only had 6 months to live. But my mom was very afraid of going into any kind of assisted living or, facility.
Yeah.
So I brought her home with me. And instead of living for 6 months, she lived for 9 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, okay.
And so during that time, Eric and Evan were at the point of getting ready to go to college. I was literally part of the sandwich generation, and so there was so much going on, caring for my mom, dealing with home health aides, getting my sons through college, and so it just, there were just so many things that had to be done.
Yeah.
So in doing it, it made me realize what begins to happen as you age.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so, and now that I'm aging, I have aged, I realize the support that you really need, and how many times families are squeezed in situations like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I started looking at ways that I'm no longer able to move around the city and move from one house to another. When we were doing the organizing, right?
You would go to people's homes.
We would go into their homes. We would organize their, their papers, the entire apartments, And so what I am moving, the direction that I'm moving the company in now is virtual.
Yes.
So I'm able to work with people online, and I don't have to go into the homes the way I used to.
Yes, that's great.
So
let's give it up for a pivot into the virtual space. That's amazing. Yes.
And so I'm in the process, and in the meantime, Evan is no longer my partner.
Right, because he's starting his own business.
He's starting his own business, and then Evan is the former graffiti artist. All right, so Evan was the one he was one of those who, artists that you would see their work on the trains.
Okay.
On buildings, you name it, all right?
Okay.
But what Evan was able to do, he was just recently appointed the executive director for Yonkers Arts. So now he's managing an entire organization.
That's great.
Okay. So I'm in the process now of creating ways to present, to offer, I call it concierge services for seniors.
For seniors, that's right. Yes.
So I'm able to, as a matter of fact, I have a client that I work with that I've been working with her. She was my first client, and I work with her every month, all right? And I haven't seen her in 4 years, all right? Because I don't have to.
Right.
Everything is done online.
Yes.
So I can shop for her. I can, at this point, so every month, and she's a single person. She doesn't have family to do it for her, but I'm able to, provide the services that she needs.
That's great.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, awesome. Let's give it up. I love that. Thank you so much. We are going to our... So I love everything that you were saying. So before we go, I would love to hear if you have a 1-word or a 3-word sentence that you would love to leave our audience with.
Being authentic.
Being authentic, yes. Love
and
that.
Real, yes.
Let's give it up for Miss Charlotte. Thank you so much. I love the fact that you're pivoting into tech and going virtual. That is amazing. Yes. Thank you so much. We are so honored to have had you here. Thank you to our studio audience for being here for Women Invest in Women. Make sure to follow us at Women Invest in Women on LinkedIn, on Instagram. You can also, these shows will be launched on all podcasts, so that's Apple, Amazon, Spotify, etc. Of course, you can always catch us here on BronxNet, and please continue to follow us and find out when all of these episodes will drop. This is a global tour, so not only is it a TV show and a podcast, it's a global tour. We are going to 8 cities, 5 states, and 4 countries, which leaves us at 13 to 14 episodes for this season. Make sure that you come and join us on our journey. You can join us as 10,000 strong. So that means if you give $99, you can have your name roll in the TV credits, and we'll say thank you so much. So thank you so much, Charlotte, for sponsoring Women Invest in Women. Yes, okay. And your name will go just like that, because we need to be the media. We need to go ahead and support our voices and support the stories of women globally across the diaspora. Women Invest in Women, we are creating a global economic ecosystem centered around the African Caribbean diaspora, sisterhood, and humanity. Come with us on this journey. Thank you so much and appreciate you. Peace. Thank you to our guests, Julieta and Charlotte. So thank you to our New York City sponsors, John Devoy Restaurant and Bar, Bronx Nats, and Overlay Capital.